Hi everybody! Every now and then we keep hearing about the pathetic state of farmers in our country. And in spite of employing more than 50% of the workforce, the condition of the Indian agricultural sector has been so bad that every day 28 people dependent on agriculture commit suicide. And every time we hear this news, 99% of us curse the government, we feel sorry for the farmers and we just move on until another news comes in. And in this process of shallow activism, we never ever try to understand what exactly is the problem of the farmers at the ground. But you know what guys, while every single media house and politicians have been using the state of farmers for their own advantage, the Indian Tobacco Company has been working on a revolutionary business strategy and has improved the lives of 4 million farmers across 35,000 villages in India. And the best part is that they have achieved this not by doing charity, but by deploying a world-class business strategy that has even doubled the income of farmers. And if you understand this strategy properly, you will not just be able to tap into $1 million business opportunity in the Indian agricultural space, but you'll also be able to understand how can companies like Zomato and Grofers become profitable in the next 5 to 10 years. So the golden question is, what exactly is this strategy? How will it help Zomato and Grofers become profitable? And more importantly, what are the business lessons that we need to learn from this wonderful case study? This video is brought to you by GoDutch, but more on this at the end of the video. This is a story that dates back to 1999 when the agricultural export division of ITC was not performing well at all. During that time, soybean was the primary export commodity of ITC, and in 1999, 4 million tons of soybean or 80% of the produce of soybean produce of India came from rural Madhya Pradesh. 80% of this produce was turned into soya meal that was used in poultry and cattle feed, and eventually ITC exported soya meal to countries such as China, Pakistan, Bangladesh and even United Arab Emirates. And the remaining 20% became edible oil, which again was a highly nutritional, high demand product. So the soybean industry overall was supposed to be very profitable, and the farmers who produced soybean was supposed to be extremely rich. But guess what? The soybean farmers in Madhya Pradesh were leading a miserable life, most of them struggling in debt, and they did not even have enough capital for the next season. And at the same time, even companies like ITC that were procuring these crops were not able to make healthy profits. So the question was, when soybean was in such high demand in the international market, how is it possible that neither the farmers nor the export companies were able to make healthy profits? Well, as it turns out, it was because of a major inefficiency in the supply chain of soybean. And this is how it worked out. On paper, there were 3 elements in the supply chain: the farmers, the APMC or the Agricultural Produce Market Committee, and then we had export companies like ITC and the wholesalers. So ideally, the farmers were supposed to produce their crops and they were supposed to take it to the APMC. APMC was nothing but a body of licensed traders set up by the government to ensure that farmers are not exploited by open trade. It's also called as the mandi. So at the mandi, only government licensed traders could buy the produce from the farmers and no other trader was allowed. So theoretically, these traders were supposed to auction for the crops and the highest bidder procured the crops from the farmers. This way, the farmers were supposed to get the best prices and they were supposed to be rich. But in reality, this was far away from the truth for 3 major reasons. Firstly, the mandis were about 30 to 50 kilometers far away from the farmers, and more than 80% of the farmers in our country are still small farmers. So most of them neither had storage facilities nor could they afford transportation facilities. Therefore, they either had to rent a truck or they had to sell it to a junior contractor who then sold it to the senior contractor who then took it to the mandi. So to put that straight, they either had to bear the cost of transportation or they had to sell their produce to the middlemen at an extremely low cost. Secondly, the farmers had no way to find out what exactly was the price being offered at a particular mandi on a particular day. As a result, they only had to rely on word of mouth and take the risk of traveling 50 kilometers with the hope that the word of mouth was true. And lastly, since no other trader was allowed to procure crops from the mandi, the licensed traders formed a cartel, and instead of auctioning for the highest price, they all quoted the same price, which was way below the standard price of the produce. For example, If 1 quintal of soybean was supposed to be sold at a base price of 8,000 rupees, giving the farmer a profit of 2,500 rupees per quintal, what the traders would do is, all of them would quote a price of 6,000 rupees only. Why? Because 1,700 farmers have already travelled 50 kilometers and they cannot go back. And they couldn't sell their produce anywhere else, so the farmer had no other option but to sell his crops at a bare minimum profit of 500 rupees to the licensed traders. And worst case, if the farmer sold it to the junior contractor, then the profits would go down further from 500 rupees to less than 100 rupees to sometimes even at a loss. And to make matters worse, even after dragging the price down to a mere 500 rupees, the mandi traders did not pay the farmers right away, and they took the hard-earned produce at an unofficial credit and paid the farmers only when they made a profit. And this time of credit would range between 1 week to even 1 month. And this pathetic system put the farmers in a very dangerous vicious cycle. Since the farmers did not have enough cash flow, it led to low investment into farming equipments and other essential inputs like pesticides and fertilizers. This led to low production, leading to low margins, which again led to a cash crunch. In fact, even today, this is the state of most of the farmers in our country. And at the end of the day, in 1999, the farmers were losing 60 to 70% of the potential value of their crop, with the agricultural yields of only 25 to 30% of the global standards. But you know what, guys? This is when ITC came out with a revolutionary initiative called the e-Choupal initiative, and they installed a super amazing tool called the computer in the remotest villages of India in 1999 itself. And under this initiative, ITC supplied a Windows PC, an internet connection and a dot matrix printer to all the village centers in its canopy. To take this forward, they launched a website called soyachoupal.com, which consisted of 3 of the most important information tabs needed for the farmers. It had weather reports to help the farmers decide what is the best time to sow his seeds and to prevent him from sowing seeds at the wrong time. Number 2 was the best practices section. For example, 18-inch spacing was considered to be best practice. However, many farmers were spacing the seed rows 9 inches apart, which eventually resulted into less yields. And thirdly, they had the market information section that gave the important market metrics, including the daily price and volume traded at the mandis and the ITC centers. And this was supported by other important pages like the Q&A section, the news section, and even the crop information section. Secondly, they appointed a lead farmer called the Sanchalak, who was responsible for helping the farmers out with the computer operation. And he was given a commission of 0.5% on the basis of the farmer's productivity. So because of the incentive, he automatically worked hard to help the farmers out with the computer operation and to enable them to improve their productivity. And thirdly, ITC convinced the government to allow the company to procure the produce directly from the farmers with the promise that they will provide reasonable cost and will build an efficient and profitable supply chain. And that is how, ladies and gentlemen, the implementation of the e-Choupal began in 1999. Back then, ITC had 5 processing units in Madhya Pradesh and 39 warehouses, making a total of 44 touchpoints, covering 80% of the farmers in Madhya Pradesh, to which the farmers could bring the soybean produce. The best part was that these points were only 20 to 30 kilometers away from the farmers as compared to the 30 to 50 kilometer range of the mandis. And this amazing setup, ladies and gentlemen, changed the way the farmers of Madhya Pradesh traded soybeans. And this is how the system worked out. First of all, the farmers were given all the important information through the e-Choupal computers, which included everything from weather forecast all the way up to the seed sowing techniques. Therefore, the farmers were confidently able to invest in their crop. This reduced the risk of the spoiled crops, and at the same time it increased the yield. Then, after the harvesting was done, they could directly have a look at the website to see how much price was being offered at the APMC and at the ITC center on a daily basis. Eventually, they could compare the prices and then decide where to go to have higher profits. In this case, ITC even reimbursed the transportation cost to the farmers, because of which they did not have to depend on the contractors to sell their yield at a bare minimum profit. After that, when they arrived at the ITC center, the processing facility also included a soil testing lab. And here's where top grade scientists offered the best recommendation for fertilizers or additives based on the chemical composition of the farmer's soil sample. And lastly, The farmer was given cash on delivery for the sale of his products immediately. And this was a very big deal because it enabled them to buy fertilizers and other essential products that were needed for the next season. And this wonderful system, ladies and gentlemen, turned the disastrous vicious cycle into a virtuous cycle by which the farmers had good cash flow, which led to high investment into farming equipments that led to high productivity, eventually giving them thicker margins and better cash flow. On top of that, in spite of all these reimbursements, this setup was so amazing that even ITC ended up saving $3 per ton on transportation, and at the same time, the farmers were able to earn $8 extra per ton. Furthermore, this move turned out to be extremely profitable for ITC because they got raw material from the farmers at a low cost and were able to use that for their FMCG division. And today, eChopal initiative already has become the largest initiative among the internet-based interventions in rural India, reaching out to more than 4 million farmers across 35,000 villages in 10 different states. And today, these crops include soybean, coffee, wheat, rice, pulses, and even shrimp. This is the incredible story of the eChopal initiative. And this brings me to the most important part of the episode, and that are the lessons from the case study and the business opportunities arising in the Indian agricultural space. Before we move on, I want to thank our wonderful partners of today's episode, and that is GoDutch. People just like the farmers were stuck in a dangerous vicious cycle because of not having enough cash flow. Have you realized that knowingly or unknowingly, even we are stuck in a vicious cycle because of not tracking our expenses? Because if you don't know how much you will be spending, you don't know how much you will save. And if you cannot project your savings, you cannot make strategic investment decisions. And eventually, this little complacency ends up costing us a lot of money in the future. And that's where our partners GoDutch come in. GoDutch is an AI-powered personal expense manager which helps you track your bills across UPI, multiple cards and bank accounts without making any manual entries. I've been using GoDutch for 3 months now. That's way before they sponsored us. And you know what, guys? I have used many expense management apps in the past 3 years, and I'm saying this from my heart that GoDutch is by far the most beautiful expense management app I have ever used. It's got this cool AI bot that gives you a crystal clear analysis of your expenses, which has helped me a lot to plan my investments properly. So if you want to track your personal expenses without lifting a finger, just download the GoDutch app from the link in the description, and it will immediately tell you your last 3 months spends in less than 5 seconds. Moving on to the lessons from the case study, there are 3 important lessons to learn from ITC's eChopal initiative. Number 1, technological accessibility, government regulation, and cash-rich stakeholders are the 3 pillars that can catalyze the growth of rural sectors of India. In this case, the Farm Bill now legally allows companies to procure the produce directly from the farmers without seeking special permission. And thanks to Jio Kisan, farmers can now witness the next level of the eChopal initiative. Secondly, we are seeing the rise of extremely cash-rich and not so profitable companies like Zomato and Swiggy who are building a B2B supply chain in order to supply raw material directly to the restaurants. And this is where projects like Zomato Hyperpure come in. And just like ITC cannot own the supply chain but only make it super efficient and profitable both for themselves and for the farmers, if this is done by rest of the companies, the inefficiency caused due to the APMC traders will get eliminated, resulting into huge profits to Grofers, Zomato, Swiggy and other companies. And last and most importantly, if you're someone who wants to invest into organic farming or hydroponics, please read about something called contract farming because it's opening up new supply chains that will eventually present you with game-changing business and investment opportunities. And if you find something worth sharing, please feel free to drop a comment or write an email to us. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.